All aboard! Hello and welcome to another edition of Shaky Hands Shed, where we'll be taking this HORNBY Railways R782 Smokey Joe and weathering it and servicing it, and also giving some feedback on an eBay user who thought it was smart to delete the feedback because it didn't show him in a sound light. Anyway, here's where we're starting with. It was a £10 bargain, and the way I received it was abysmal. It took ages to come, the courier were useless. It showed being delivered to them, then didn't show anything for ages on the tracking, and then it just showed up at my door with nothing marked on it. But worse than that, it had just been thrown in a large box, and anybody that knows these locomotives know the chimneys break off. But it was thrown in a large box with no packing, so it was like a pea in a whistle. And there's the name, Vintage Wall, and the double L is 2 1s. Keep an eye out for them. And don't trust you'll get anything you buy in one piece of them, if they deliver it. When contacted, I was polite, and I tried pointing out that it had been received with no packing, and he said, "Oh, it's not my problem, it's eBay that does it for me." I said, "Well, it is your problem, you're the vendor." And he was like, "Oh, you only got it for £10 anyway." Irrespective of whether it were £10 or 50 pence, you still pack it and don't be snide. My feelings are, he didn't get what he was hoping for the loco, and he was snide and just said fuck it and threw it in a box. I think that was his attitude. Well, you can delete it on eBay, you can't delete it here. Anyway, here we are. I checked it for running, and it's running fine. Could do with a service, it's a little noisy, but I'm happy enough it's a runner. Job done. And now, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get on with stripping it down into all the individual parts, more or less. I'll leave the wheels on, it saves re-quartering them. And once you get it down to the chassis and wheels, anyway, it's just a matter of giving them a quick clean and a quick lube. And here I'm just working out how to unclip the motor mount, because I've already unscrewed it. But there we are, the motor mount's out. I'm taking out the copper contacts, and they're out. And next up was taking off the motion, which is just the press fitted in. You can just get a pair of pliers and pop them out, as long as you're careful. I use the type I use sprue cutters, so you can nip in behind them and lift them gently. And anyway, here's the elephant in the room, a lockdown address. Not this, I'm just scraping a seam line off, and just getting that looking a bit more prototypical. And there we go. And what I'll do next, I've got some sponge sanding sheets. I don't know whose it is, I believe Tanya do similar. And I'm just sanding off the last bit. And what really grates me with this, like, prototypically, back in the day, the writing on the side had been done with chalk or with whitewash or stuff like that. And it's just too... it's too printed on, if you know what I mean. Too solid. So I sanded a lot of it off so it just looks like it's had chalk on and it's been washed off by water heading down, or even whitewash, it's been washed off. As was prototypical back on the railways back then. I've always thought, since first seeing Smokey Joe, when it first hit the shelves, that it was printed too neat, and it's the one thing that stopped me getting it. And anyway, at this point, I'm dabbing in some Umbro black gloss it's the enamel. I wanted some hard wearing and thick and gloopy, just to put in between the spokes to cover up the chrome, to make it look a bit less toyish. And overnight I did some painting. I've done the inside of the cab. I've painted it all in Citadel colours. In fact, the scarlet on the buffers is Citadel, the white on the lamps is Citadel, and all the colours inside is Citadel. I've also done a null oil wash on the inside of the cab, and also dry brushed it with Screaming Skull. And at this point I'm oiling the wheels. I've already washed it out in meths. Washed out all the cold oils and dirt etc. with meths. I've polished the wheels up with silver water salt. And at this point I'm putting back on the connecting rods. And if you strip it down, keep an eye on the pins, because the pins are two have larger shoulders and one has smaller shoulders. The smaller shouldered ones go to the front, and the knuckle on the connecting rod goes upwards, and then the larger shouldered one goes to the rear with your connecting rod to the piston. Make sure your quartering's in the right area, and then the other side will be right, because I'm not taking them off and not moved them. So Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt, and I'm just putting some oil in the motion there, ready to do the other side. And the same procedure this side, except the opposite way around, if you get what I mean. Now we are putting the connecting rod onto the piston, and I'm pushing in with a pair of tweezers and handle off a pair of tweezers, because it's a bit too much to put in with your thumb. Unless you're a guitar player or whatever and you've got thick calluses, you might be able to manage then. I don't, I'm a bit of a wimp. But thingy, the out fella that plays guitar, that does model railways, I guess he'd manage. He plays guitar, so he'd probably have calluses on that. I don't, I can't play my guitar. Well, I can play the odd riff, but that's about it. And just cleaning the contacts there. I've only cleaned the contact areas with Solvo. And at this point, we're putting back in the contacts. The two shaped areas go onto the wheel, and the central area plugs in behind two, like stubs, tongs, whatever you want to call them, posts. It slots in between and clicks in between them. Once you get it in, you know it firmly locates in there. Still struggling a bit here. But you know, when you can see it pops out again. But as soon as you get it behind them posts and sorted, you're away. As you can see, sending me nuts here. It's fairly easy if you're not like a goldfish out of water. And here we put in the other side in, perhaps you can see a little bit better where they locate. The two end parts go on each wheel. The square bit in the middle clicks behind two posts and clicks down and sits securely. And the tongue at the top goes up and points forward to touch your motor posts. Anyway, before the motor goes in, I'm giving it a quick weathering. I'm using Vallejo track primer. Just gives a nice muddy colour. Well, not muddy, just grotty. And what I'm doing here, I'm using Vallejo matte varnish, where I was using some old cars weathering powders, but the white's not that good. I eventually used some Tamiya from one of the light powder compacts. But also, you can also use artist pigment, artist pastels crushed. And if you go to an artist shop, I suppose you can also buy artist pigments that they use for making oil paints and acrylic paints. But all this is doing, this white, it's just rendering the, oh bloody hell, lime scale that you get with steam. Sort of like in a kettle, man. Yeah, just the lime scale and dropping down. And at this point I've got more Tamiya colours out. Oh no, I've got a smaller brush for doing the whistle, a bit of lime scale from the whistle. And I also put some of the chalky cars weathering powders at the front to make it look like ash from the smoke box. So it looks well. As you can see, that Smokey Joe now looks much more like it's been written in chalk or in whitewash. Anyway, here we have some powders. I'm going for silver first. I used that for the edges of the buffers and stuff like that, just to make the buffers stand out a little bit more. The Tamiya powders are quite good, and you can also mix them in with waters and use them for dry brushing and stuff if I did, but can be used for that. I used it on the firebox, on edges and stuff like that. Stuff where you get it worn down. Unfortunately, I forgot to put handrails on. I may do that in the future. And here I'm just using the chocolatey brown colour to highlight edges and make it look a good deal prettier. And here I'm just putting rust on the springs. And at this point, I can't remember if I've lacquered it here. Well, lacquered it, sprayed it with the Leo matte varnish. It's not a lacquer as such, it's a polyurethane. And I've took the chassis out again for putting the motor in. Putting it in quite securely. And I'm giving it a quick spray of it's motorcycle chain grease. It's just on the worm and gear. It may be a bit heavy, but if it is, I can take it off in the future and use a lighter one. And what I decided to do, I also decided to repair my test track after it's been a long time out of service. Due to an accident, it fell over when it was leaning up and smashed the HORNBY point. I might still be able to repair it, but I'll put it to one side. If I can, I'll reuse that point. But here's a new one going in. Just knocking some nails in. Bit bigger than track pins they are. But it'll do. Anyway, here's where we started off. They're fairly clean really, although it does have a fair bit of grime on it from over the years. But it's fairly clean and in nice condition if it were cleaned up. Smokey Joe. I'm guessing it's an early one. One of the early manufactured ones. And here's where we finished up. Making it look a bit more realistic. And a bit more how it should look. But yeah, quite happy with where I finished. And it's looking good for £10 off eBay. You can't grumble. Well, I did, but it wasn't about the bargain I got, it was about the person's attitude and how they packed it. Anyway, here we go. I'm just giving it a little bit of a run in. I don't have a full circle of track, so just let its buffers up to the block and give it a spin. Don't do it for too long, I obviously wouldn't want to burn out the motor. I could do with an oval of track or a circle of track to run it on. But yeah, running quite nice. It's got rid of the noise it had before. Now we have turned up the speed up a bit. I'd imagine it'd pull a fair train. And here we go, coming up and over. They were never known for being really slow, these. And they have to maintain a certain speed over the point, so they'll stall. But other than that, it's a terrific little runner. and there's nothing on it now. Now it's all been cleaned and maintained and everything serviced. There's nothing on it that shouldn't go right with running. Anyway, thank you for watching. Take care out there. Please subscribe if you haven't. Even better, ring the bell for notifications. And even better, give us a thumbs up. And as they say in Lancashire, tatty pie everybody. Tatty pie.